Oh. 3, 2, 1.
You are listening to the only show where a former police officer, alongside a current law school student, tackle politics, the legal system, and corruption. The show, known around the world as Qualified Immunity.
Uh-huh. Hey, guess what?
What?
YouTube just told me we were live.
Oh. Yeah, I heard that.
Did you hear that email?
Hi, YouTube.
Hi, YouTube. And Facebook and Twitch and...
Oh, gosh, don't do the list yet.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That's the end of the show.
That's the end of the show. Got it. Oh. We're gonna have some fun today. Actually, this is not funny. This is not fun at all. This is holocaustic. Is it a word?
I guess it is now.
Okay, seriously, is that a word?
Sure, why not?
Is this not holocaustic to you?
Yes, actually, that's one of the directions I was planning to go. But now that we're already going that direction, well, here we go.
Keith Olbermann. If you do not know who Keith Olbermann is, he used to be an anchor on MSNBC. And the leftover, I don't exactly remember why he left. He is actually somebody I have got in a Twitter war with.
Really?
Yes, back in the day.
Okay, so what I read, I've now read a few different articles on this, on what he said, but on his leaving ESPN.
Yeah, he was at MSNBC, and then something happened.
Yeah.
I don't remember what exactly happened.
He says that he was let go a little early from his contract.
Because he's extreme.
Yeah, obviously.
Like, well, and we're not even to that point yet, but like back in the day, he was extreme. Like,
yeah.
He's actually not a bad sports commentator. If you can keep politics out of it, he's not a bad sports commentator.
You should just stay out of politics, because this is...
Well, he did make a lot of his meat in media in politics. And like I understand it. Like, I used to watch the guy.
Yeah.
However, he stepped away from ESPN this time to help Joe Biden run for president. Basically. To ensure Joe Biden a victory. If I was the Biden campaign, I would go nicely tell Keith Olbermann to hop right back on that Sports Center top 10, because this is not going to help.
Yeah, if I were on the campaign team, I probably would have literally offered him money to not do this.
Yeah.
Please just don't.
Yeah. Because of things like you said the other day, which was...
Do you want... Trump supporters, quote, must be prosecuted, convicted, removed from our society. Is this... And I love the subtitle that the place puts on this. The longtime broadcaster did not say what they should be prosecuted for.
Well, I understand that, but the problem becomes this. They should be... how do you say it again? Arrested, prosecuted, and removed?
Removed from society.
That is holocaustic.
Yeah. When I read his...
When you read it, did you not just look up and go, oh my God?
I read his transcript, the transcript of his little tirade, and I thought, we don't do that here.
Apparently we do.
This isn't Nazi Germany. It's not Communist Russia. It's not China. It's not Cambodia. We don't put people on trial for political views.
Well, here's the other side. Well, That's a rabbit hole. We do, just not.
Yeah. You can't say that.
The problem becomes, though, of how many. What Trump supporters is he talking about? Is he talking about every single person that voted for Donald Trump ever?
I don't know.
Is he talking about.
I don't know.
Like, because the problem becomes, if you're a white, wealthy gun owner.
Yeah.
You see where, like, there's no defiant line to this of going, okay, this is what constitutes a Trump supporter, this is what constitutes this is what constitutes that. There's no line there.
Yeah. Well, there were basically three things that I thought when I read this. Number one, we don't do that here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you want to do that, go somewhere where they do that. Like
go to
China.
Venezuela.
Go to China. Go to Venezuela. Go somewhere else. The second thought that I had was that's a little hypocritical. Is it not? I mean,
In what aspect?
okay, so Olbermann is obviously on the left. I mean, he's not on the right.
Mm-hmm.
Every leftist that I've ever talked to, and I don't use that term derogatory in a derogatory fashion. I mean, whatever.
No, you're allowed to believe what you want to believe.
But if every person on the left side of the spectrum that I've ever talked to thinks Hitler was far right wing. We can have a discussion if you want to, whatever. But if you're a member of the left and you're suggesting basically the same thing that Hitler did, doesn't that make you a hypocrite? If you think Hitler was an awful person.
The problem is, and the argument Olbermann or anybody like that is going to use to have a rebuttal to that, is that they are the Republicans that Trump supporters are the Nazis, and they're trying to be post World War II Germany.
Well, two wrongs don't make a right. I mean, if you adopt the principles of your enemy, what's the point of fighting them?
But they don't look at it like that. They look at it like they're Nuremberg. I understand how they look at it. I disagree with it, but I understand how they look at it. Because the problem with right versus left wing is the wings have been so. I don't want to say bastardized because that's not even a strong enough word. Everybody looks at left wing versus right wing of, well.
The phrase that I always hear is the right wing and the left wing are on the same bird, but I mean that's a little bit cliche, but it's not entirely wrong.
It's not entirely wrong because the left. It used to be one wing was less government, anti-federalist. The other wing was more government, federalists. Excuse me.
Well, growing up, I thought the fight was left versus right, and I don't know if that was ever true. It probably was at some point. I feel like now the fight.
1803.
I feel like now the fight is fascism versus, I would say, libertarianism.
See, I wouldn't even call it fascism. Statism.
Well, yeah. I mean, I consider this to be basically the same thing, more or less. I mean, what?
Like, what Olbermann's suggesting is fascism.
Yeah.
What a lot of people on the left are suggesting is not.
Okay, that makes sense. I guess it just depends on how you define each one, which.
Well, and there's
I think I understand your definition now.
Violence.
Yeah. Well, you can't have statism without at least a little bit of violence.
Yeah, but it's not. It's not widespread. I mean, California is not until 6 months ago.
Yeah.
California is very, very statist, and the majority of Californians are not, hot walking around with a Glock in their pants.
Yeah.
It's
well. I'm not sure I understand that comment.
Well,
are you okay with that?
I got a tickle in my throat and I couldn't get it to go away. And the tickle turned into a hiccup, and the hiccup turned back into a tickle, and yeah.
You look like you were choking.
Oh Lord! I swear to God, if I had the hiccups.
And now it begins.
Oh. No, what? You can be stated. You can have a very stated. Yep, there now it begins. You can have a very stated society with a lot of sheep.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to have that for either one.
Well, that doesn't take violence.
It's going to eventually. I mean, you can only push sheep so far.
Really?
Really.
Have you seen California? Like, I love. Oh, no. This is not going to be good. I love California, but have you seen California? 90% like, whatever.
Well, and
What?
you're going to do this the whole episode. At least you're not listening. That's possible.
I already yawned twice. You just missed it.
That's fair. Well, California is also beginning to, like, I don't know if I want to, how far I want to, like, draw the verbiage on this. They're at least starting to alienate a lot of people. It's getting to the point where if you want to live a certain lifestyle, you can't live in California.
I will say that, there are a lot of people leaving the West Coast.
Well, and those who can't afford to leave either have to adapt to the new societal standard, or
They'll adapt before they leave violent.
I'm not saying they're going to turn violent, but if they don't adapt, somebody else is going to be violent to stop them from doing whatever they're doing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. I think my big hold up to calling something fascist is the incompetency of the government to actually enforce 99% of it. Like, we have so many laws now, you can't enforce them all.
I mean, Nazi Germany, I would call fascist. I wouldn't say that they were necessarily competent.
Nazi Germany also had the force multiplier to enforce it.
Force multiplier.
The people and propaganda. We don't have that here. Not in mass.
I disagree. I think, well, our propaganda machine at least is very well established.
Oh yeah, but you don't have. It's like the mask deal. If we had it to the level Nazi Germany had it, every time you saw somebody without a mask,
yeah,
some Karen would be calling in on them, and it did well. It happened here and there.
I mean, you had somebody try to get you arrested for not wearing a mask.
Well, that's my point. And then you had the officer involved.
Yeah.
Go what? Like, there's that line there versus in Nazi Germany, the SS, there was no line. It was letter of the law.
Yeah. Okay, so maybe we're not there yet.
I think you're going to have to get a whole other generation, like a different generation of cops. Like the generation after me. It's like, well, the law says this. Oh, there was a hiccup.
That was impressive.
I was talking to somebody about this the other day. There are a lot of cops walking. Like, there are a lot of cops walking away right now.
Yeah. You just want to hit pause?
No, because I can't pause that.
No. True.
But you've got a lot, and people don't believe me when I say that, but I know multiple cops who have left. Like, I'm done.
Yeah. Well, I've seen some from you and some just independently, like across my newsfeed, across social media, which I'm not on a whole lot,
But it's there.
Yeah.
And people don't believe, like, oh, well, there's not that many cops walking away. Yes, there are.
Yeah, there are.
For two reasons. One, I'm not enforcing that. That's stupid.
Yeah.
And two, in a lot of American cities, they're pointless.
Yeah.
Go to Portland and be a cop right now. Go to Seattle and be a cop right now.
Well, and even in some even in some rural towns, their primary purpose is to generate revenue. They're not
Yeah.
They're not there to make sure that people are safe. They're there to make money.
Well, and this is where I could, I don't know if I'm going to go to a rant about this or a monologue about this. My hiccups. This is going to be known as the hiccup episode. We've had the delirious episode. This is now the hiccup episode. I don't know how far I want to go. Oh God, that hurt. I don't know how far I want to go into this, but when I say and have said over and over and over again, stop picking sides. This is why right here.
Yeah. Well, and the third thing that I thought when I read this was, okay, this is how you start violence. When you start calling for stuff like this and actually do it, that's how the violence starts.
And I've said over and over and over again, I will keep saying it, I do not want a war on American soil between Americans.
Yeah.
But if you keep this rhetoric up and you keep this line of bullshit up, you know what you're going to get? What happened in Denver this week? Americans shooting at Americans. I don't even know that whole story yet. Like, I haven't read it intentionally.
I don't know. I saw a limited amount of news on that last night.
Probably. I think it happened yesterday.
My days are all running together. I can't
Me too.
What day it is.
It's daytime or nighttime at this point. Like, but you've got this moment of time of like, when I said, when we started this podcast, I mean, almost 50 episodes ago, stop picking sides. This is the reason. If you pick a side, there's automatically an enemy, and you probably have more in common with that enemy than you do not in common with them. But when you pick a side and you listen to rhetoric, I don't care what side you're on. If you're on the Trump side, if you're on, the Bernie Bros side, if you're on Antifa, if you're on BLM, stop picking sides. Because all you're going to do by picking that side is perpetuate a narrative, and that narrative is going to turn into violence, and violence is going to turn into war. The American Civil War technically started in 1861. If you know anything about history, the American Civil War started in 1850. The shooting started in 1861. It took 11 years for it to actually kick off. And the problem we're at right now is we're at a crossroads in time to where there is a lot of propaganda, there's a lot of talking points, there's a lot of bullshit that's being said by both sides that is going to turn into 10% on this side, 10% on that side, take it to the extreme, and then everybody's involved. For somebody with the platform that Olbermann has, to make such a reckless statement, even if he believes it, to make such a reckless statement that Trump supporters need to be arrested, prosecuted, and removed from society is the singular way you add fuel to the fire. You're creating division that is going to... You're creating division and inciting violence.
Yeah.
For somebody to walk up and say, look, we got a Trumper, pop, pop. Because if you don't know that story, that happened in Portland. Do not let people keep pushing this narrative that on a good day is narcissistic and on a bad day is demented and will hands down bring down the United States of America as we know it. We're not perfect. We've never been perfect. But it has been the greatest experiment known to mankind that has successfully worked. Even through an attempted divorce.
So do you think he actually believes this?
Yeah.
You do?
Oberman, yeah. I mean, he's a hardcore one.
I'm curious how many people actually agree with him.
More than will admit it.
Yeah, actually.
Because they're not empowered.
Yeah.
It's like if they're empowered. I don't know. I just people have got to stop running this narrative of we're drawing the line in the sand, and by God, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it because there are I don't want to say nobody. Very, very, very few people. If you buy the majority of your groceries from Walmart, you are not prepared for a civil war.
Yeah.
Like people that look up like, oh, well, I'm gonna run to the store and get some ammo in case those commies come over the hill tonight. Like, what? What? It's like I've said forever when it comes to the economy, the difference between the first Great Depression and the next one is during the first one, there was a lot of people that still knew how to use a plow and grow food if they could get the seeds. In 1929, 1930, suburbs were not a thing. There were minivans and neither was soccer practice.
Suburbs were just called farms.
Yeah. I despise the constant push towards let's get violent by both sides. Quote unquote sides. I despise it. Because what are you doing? You're pushing a narrative that you yourself probably won't even back up.
Well, and the bad part is I don't think the two-party system can exist without that kind of rhetoric.
I think it can.
Well,
Nixon and Kennedy.
I mean, you can have periods where it doesn't use that, but eventually that's what you end up with.
No, what the problem becomes is there's two different visions for this country now. I think I said this. I know I said it to you. I don't know if I said it on air or off air, but Nixon and Kennedy had the same goals. They had different approaches in how to get there.
Right.
Now we don't even have the same goals anymore. And that's where a lot of the problem interjects itself is if you have people that don't have the same goals or same ideals or same everything. I mean, it's just like a marriage.
Yeah.
If you marry somebody that has totally separate life goals than you, like if you want to be an underwater basket weaver and they want to be a Wall Street CEO, that's going to drastically change your approach to anything.
Yeah. Well, you say there are different plans. I'm not sure there is a plan. I think it's just
chaos.
We gotta win, and that's it.
Chaos.
Yeah.
And it aggravates me that I see so many people buying into the chaos. And you get so chastised from one side or the other. It's like, oh my God, shoot the riders, run them over. No, Bubba. No Bubba Gump. Sit down.
Don't napalm on them.
Yeah. Also, when Oberman says arrest them, convict them, and remove them from our society, no. Like, when the hell are you people just going to start? When the hell are people literally going to start turning around and be like, hey, you know what? Let's sit down and talk about this. Let's get a cup of coffee. Let's get a beer. Talk about things. Stop buying into your side of, well, they're a Trump person, I can't talk to them, or they're a Biden person, I can't talk to them, or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Stop! We have way more in common in this country than we do not in common. And you are being manipulated by 537 people plus a massive media empire.
Well, and this whole Oberman deal also goes back to what we talked about. If you're not willing to do it yourself, shut up.
Shut up. Shut the hell up. I can totally see Olbermann coming out there. What are you going to charge him with? Treason and sedition.
Well,
They literally look at the left looks at the right like the right is trying to overthrow the country. The right looks at the left the same way.
yeah. And I'll be
And
honest.
they're both wrong.
They're both wrong, but I'll be honest. I used to be a part of that. I used to get into that. The fact of the matter is,
I used to get a lot of crap because I would take some very liberal stances. I did.
well, the fact of the matter is, the heads of both parties, and I'm not talking about the party administration. I'm talking about the politicians. Most of them are just incompetent.
Yeah.
They're not trying to overthrow anything. They're just completely incompetent. They have no idea. What they're doing.
You and somebody else that we hang out. We used to hang out with a lot of time. Would give me a lot of crap because I took some very, very, very liberal positions on some stuff, and both of you would just go.
I mean, you and I still disagree quite a bit on a lot.
I don't think we disagree. I think on the issue we disagree on who has control of it.
I think we disagree on a lot of issues.
I know I'm more libertarian than you are. It's okay.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
I am more libertarian than you are. By a long shot. I can only think of one.
One issue?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll have to talk after this then.
It's the big issue ever. That when you look at one day, it's like, wait, what? Abortion. And it's the one I don't think there's a good answer to.
When you say we disagree on the issue, or don't disagree on the issues,
You're a super localist.
I am a super localist.
I still believe in civil rights.
I mean,
I don't give a shit if your county government says it or not.
I'm trying to think of like all the issues that we disagree on. We disagree on basically everything involving like sex, marriage, any of that.
Yeah, but I'm not going to criminalize any of it.
Yeah.
See, the problem is, you're a theocrat, not a libertarian.
I wouldn't even say I'm theocratic necessarily, because I don't think I want to criminalize, but I'm okay. Like if you're 3 counties away, 4 counties away, I don't care what you're doing. Like whatever.
Yeah, but if you still can't criminalize something like that. You cannot govern morality.
I think you might be right on that. I'm running through issues. Like,
everything we would disagree on comes back to the same thing. You cannot govern morality.
I found one that I'm pretty sure we would disagree on.
Oh, this should be good. What?
Usury.
Huh?
Usury. Interest rates.
Okay, why would we disagree on this?
Because on that issue, you probably are more libertarian than I am. I don't think you should be able to charge anything.
Why not?
With interest.
Free market.
You're taking advantage of poor people.
You're not taking advantage. If they don't want it, they don't have to sign it.
What are they supposed to do if they can't feed their kids?
Start a farm.
On what money?
I don't know.
There you go.
Next thing you're gonna want to pay for their health care too. See, this is something.
I don't want to force other people to pay for them. I just want to force them not to have to pay someone else.
Hey, maybe if they weren't paying 43% taxes, they could feed their kids.
That's a fair point.
Just saying. For a friend.
And do you want me to make the argument for you?
What?
In order to enforce all that other crap, you have to have 43% tax.
Yeah, you do. I don't think you would have the necessity for loans with outrageous interest rates. You picked on, I know why you picked on that issue too. Oh my god, I just realized why you picked on that issue.
That's not why, although I have been thinking about
That
it.
commercial?
I have been thinking about it a lot just because of that commercial. Yeah. And that's not why. I've had this opinion for a long time.
Oh my god. I would still vote for her. My dad's still voting for her.
That's not even like an issue that I would change my vote based on. It's just we probably shouldn't do that.
But I'm also the person that says capitalism without morality leads to despotism.
Yeah, but
I just don't think you can legalize morality or criminalize demorality.
I almost made a generalization, which is probably true, but would probably be controversial.
Oh God, here it comes. And this is how we got taken off Apple Podcasts. In 3, 2.
No, Apple's not going to care. It's not an immutable characteristic.
Go ahead, make your generalization.
Bankers don't have morality.
Yeah, they do.
Money. And
I didn't say they had a lot.
Yeah. When I say bankers, I'm not talking about the.
You're talking about hedge fund manager type bankers.
Yeah, but there's like a middle run there, and it's the same morality.
I think they do. I just think it's a different.
They take,
I understand what you're saying.
They take that position of, well, they shouldn't sign it if they don't want to, or if they can't afford it.
Well, and that's easy to say once you're there.
It's easy to say if you've never.
Yeah.
If you've never
toiled and tried.
If you've never had to go a day without food.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. But I also think that's a county/local level issue. That
I would agree with that actually. That's
not a big.
Welcome to the localists.
I don't have a problem with the localists until it turns into the localists of segregation and let's hang the gay people. People still have civil rights.
Yeah, I don't think that's a valid argument though.
What?
That localism leads to that.
I can see it leading to that in some places.
I don't think so.
Especially, okay, we live in Oklahoma. Little Dixie would be Jim Crow-esque tomorrow.
I think if you make it local enough, people aren't going to hang their neighbors.
Okay, maybe, and the reason I say maybe is because that depends on how population.
What do you mean?
You're right. If they know them, you're right.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm talking about. There are some issues.
You realize how local you would have to get in a couple counties?
Yeah. There are some issues that I think should be localized so far down as neighborhoods, precincts, stuff like that. Here's the thing.
Just too much framework.
If you're governing somebody that you don't know, that you've never seen before.
The other side of that is the law is supposed to be blind, and if you got to neighborhoods, then
I don't think that's a good system.
I can see it. Yeah, but flip side of that is, you want to see the flip side of the law not being blind? HOAs.
Yeah.
Where Karen gets pissed off.
Well.
And starts a whole bunch of shit.
If you're worried about people getting hanged, you know who I'm worried about getting hanged?
Who?
Jerks.
I think the jerks will shoot back.
Different kind of jerk.
Oh.
We're not talking about you here.
You're an asshole.
You're not getting hanged because you don't want to live in a neighborhood.
No, I don't want to live in a neighborhood. I don't understand how people live in neighborhoods. I honestly don't. How do you live that close to your neighbor? And how do you have that much,
How well do you know your neighbors? I'm just curious.
My new neighbors, where we're building our house at?
Pick a house that you've lived at. How well did you know your neighbors?
I didn't.
There you go.
I didn't want to know my neighbors. The last house I knew my neighbors.
I know the guy that lives across the road a quarter mile from me. Yeah, those are good.
Sorry.
Just
fighting foot's the end of the table here. YouTube's gonna ban us for that one.
So sweet. I know the neighbor that lives on the other end of the section.
I have too much crap to do at the other end of the section.
That's the next closest guy.
That's the point. But like normal neighborhoods, I have too much crap to do to care about what they're doing. I also
You have no desire for any social interaction with those people.
no.
Why?
I'm busy.
Maybe you just need more useful neighbors. I don't know.
You comprehend how busy I am.
Yeah, I know.
You're just as busy.
Yeah.
You really?
I still make time to talk to my neighbors.
I don't. I talked to my new neighbors the other day.
Yeah, I was actually kind of surprised with that. That's good.
Why? Because I'm moving to the middle of nowhere and I'm like, leave me alone.
Because I know you don't talk to your neighbors.
I had a childhood best friend. Right after I got married, I had a childhood best friend who lived 4 streets over, and I saw her one time in the year and a half we lived there.
You said best friend?
Yeah, like we're like
And you saw her once?
yeah, like I'm her son's godfather.
How are you best friends with somebody you've only seen once?
Like childhood, like grew up together.
I'm not following. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
I'm just saying, people are busy. It's hard.
I shoot guns with my neighbors.
That's because you live in the middle of nowhere. You also have to think about this for 12 seconds. If you lived in a neighborhood, you shoot guns with your 3 neighbors. If you lived in a neighborhood, you would have 40.
We also have potlucks. 4th of July, the entire neighborhood gets together. And when I say neighborhood, I'm talking about like
3 people.
3 square miles. No, we have like 30, 40 people. They bring their entire family over.
Oh my god.
What?
And I'm redneck.
It's more of a southern thing. Not redneck, just southern.
Like, once I get moved, it's if you don't have an invitation, don't get past my gate.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying, though.
Yeah, I know.
You also know where I'm moving.
Yeah.
And how far away my house is going to be from that gate.
Yeah. Actually, I'm kind of surprised. I was surprised when I first learned where you were moving because there are so many people down in there.
Mm-hmm.
You said it was in the middle of nowhere, and I was like, there are a lot of people down in here.
Well, okay.
I drove by like 8 houses getting in here.
Yeah, but they're like miles apart.
No.
Oh, I take it back. If you go down that one street, it's
Yeah.
not. They're on 5-acre plots.
Yeah.
But the problem is, I have Keith Olbermann wanting to throw people like me in prison and remove me from society.
Well, get to be really good friends with your neighbors. Maybe they'll stop it.
I've learned lots of rumors about me thanks to my neighbors.
Rumors.
Yeah.
What kind of rumors?
You're involved in them.
Do I want to know?
Mm-mm.
Okay. That's the other thing. If you get to know your neighbor, you hear stories about people hiding people in their houses in World War II. I'm pretty sure they were neighbors. I mean, it's not like
That was so much different back then.
Why?
Because it's just like the Golden. Okay, you and I were both watching the Golden Girls before we came on air.
Yeah.
I was thinking, as I was watching that episode, going. So there's an episode where they have somebody over for dinner.
Yeah.
And they're all sitting there talking.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen anymore.
Maybe it should.
Well, that even gets a harder problem because they're removing those kitchens from house, like or not kitchens, dining rooms. They had hors d'oeuvres, and then they had the meal, and then they had drinks, and then they had coffee, and it was one of those. If you watch that and compare that to a dinner party in 2020,
yeah.
Hell, let's go back to the normal days, 2019.
Yeah, I mean, all that is still pretty normal.
But it's totally changed. It's drastically different.
How so?
That's the thing. You live in the country. It's not out there. You go to a dinner party nowadays. It's everybody eats. You might talk about like you go to somebody else's house for dinner. You eat, you talk a little bit, you BS, and then. But it's never one of those. Let's sit down and talk.
Okay. I mean, I go to, I guess you'd call them dinner parties. Like once a week, I'll go. I have a friend that I go and I have dinner with their family, and we eat. I get there, we all make dinner together, we eat dinner, get together, and I stay there probably 4 or 5 hours afterward.
Yeah, no, that doesn't happen. Yeah, that doesn't happen. In urban America, that does not happen.
It should.
Plus, most of the time I've been to one in the last 5 years, it's you kind of talk, but everybody's basically on their phone. Like it's, I'm telling you, it's different.
I don't usually become very good friends with people that stay on their phone all the time because they're on their phone all the time.
I'm on my phone all the time.
Not all the time.
My screen time was down last week.
I think that's why I enjoy driving so much, because I enjoy riding a lot. Well, I don't enjoy riding that much.
No, you don't. You're a control freak.
Yeah.
I can ride. You can't ride.
I think that's why I enjoy driving, though, because people are less likely to use their phone in the car, I feel like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's just a very talkative car.
Like, but it goes back to like how they design houses. There's not sitting rooms anymore.
Yeah.
Then the last house got built with a parlor. I mean, I know that's crazy.
The last house that I know that was built with a parlor,
Yeah.
or that I watched get built, or that I've been in with a parlor.
That you've been in.
Grandmother's house, which was in a small town, and was probably built in the 50s or 60s.
And parlors were meant to be social areas.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you're wrong when you say maybe we should do more of that. Yeah, but you can't now. You're not getting
Be the change you want to see in the world.
Oh my god.
I mean,
don't come to my house.
I say that with a very sarcastic tone, but on the other hand, that is how you fix that. I mean, I am the way that I am because I want to be this
But
way.
you talk about like HOAs. This goes back to my entire point. You talk about HOAs and making stuff that local. Most people don't know each other.
Yeah. But they should. That's the essence of self-government right there.
Okay. Someday you're gonna have to do this experiment. Go live in a real neighborhood for 6 months.
Why would I?
To see if you can do this, you can replicate it.
I mean, I would argue that I do live in a neighborhood right now.
Oh my god. Go live in a subdivision. How's that?
I don't want to own that little land.
And the let them eat cake attitude comes up.
Says the guy who's moving to what, 80 acres?
160.
160 acres.
I like people!
I like having a yard, and I'm not talking about like an acre. I want to be able to run around.
Naked.
On it. Well, if I so choose, yes.
He runs around naked in the yard. Let's just get that out there right now.
Ideally, I'd like to be able to land an airplane on my yard, but that's.
You can land one in my front yard.
Well, you can land one in my yard that I live in now. So there's that.
I swear to God, if you ever fly to my house to do this show, I'm gonna be like, are you kidding me?
Why? What?
Because that is the most bougie thing you could ever possibly do.
I mean, I have thought about flying to the local airport, but then I don't want to. I hate flying. It's not fun.
Why? It's so much more fun.
I just realized something. We'll have to talk about that after the show. Different reasons for flying.
Okay. You can see the ground coming at you.
Different reasons.
Oh. Do you think do you honestly think this rhetoric's gonna get better or worse?
Worse.
But
No hesitation. It's
can
worse.
you comprehend what happens if this rhetoric gets worse?
Yep. I'm not saying I want it to. I'm saying it's going to. Because who's going to win the election?
Who cares?
Name someone who's going to win the election, who might win the election.
Donald Trump or Joe Biden.
There you go. One or the other. And it's going to get worse because whoever is in power is going to be in power, and whoever is not is not.
We're slowly losing our country.
Yep. I told you the other night, it sounds a lot like what Rome went through when the Republic collapsed.
Yeah. You're not wrong. I don't. Man.
I actually had a history professor, a PhD, who did compare it with the Roman Republic. He actually compared it to there was a conspiracy near the end of the Republic, and they stopped the conspiracy, but like 15 years later, Caesar comes along. But he compared it to that, and I listened to him and I thought, you're probably right, but you're looking at the wrong time frame. This is the Caesar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I can see a lot of truth in that statement.
All that is to say, we're screwed.
Oh, we're not screwed. Just
Ever the optimist.
we're not screwed. We're gonna have to do what we have to do, and we'll rebuild it later. That's all you can do. In the ashes we shall rise.
It'd be nice if we could try something different. Like not going down the path that everybody goes down.
With that being said, screw up your tagline.
Vote gold, vote gold. JoJo 2020.
Where can they find you on social?
Help me, JoJo Jorgensen, you're my only hope.
Yeah.
I'm on the Twitter at the Lucas Cohen.
And that's about it. He got banned on everything else.
Yeah, I'm thinking about getting back on Facebook.
Being a right-wing hack.
That's hilarious. Oh man.
Some of us believe in freedom, you fascist.
The funny thing is, you know what I got there.
Yeah, I do.
That violates the NAT.
No! Every time my daughter's like, Dad, I go nap. Like, it takes a minute because I'm always like, she just wants to take a nap. I thought we were about to start this major breakthrough with a 3-year-old about the non-aggression policy. You can find me on anything else. Facebook, Twitter, Insta, Snap, TikTok, LinkedIn, whatever. You can find me on anything. At Greg Jingle, Jerry J-I-N-G-L-E. You can also find the Qualified Immunity Podcast on every major platform where a podcast can be found, including Apple, Stitcher, Spotify, Anchor, Overcast, and recently added India's top 2 podcast streaming services, which I cannot pronounce, so I'm not going to attempt to.
Please do.
No. Okay. I was practicing before an episode one day and I still screwed it up.
The fact that you practiced even makes this better.
Yeah. With that being said, I decided a couple weeks ago that I was going to start eating this differently, and there's a lot of reasons behind it. But I honestly believe it fits our current time.
I said bless you.
It is also allergy season down south. But fall for nothing, question everything, and be prepared for anything. Stay frosty, guys. Until Valhalla. Bye!